Hello and welcome to another episode where we attempt to fall asleep, but we succeed. It has been a while since our last episode, so I hope you miss me. But I hope you have been getting good sleep by watching my other videos, because you're very smart, remember? Yeah, don't forget. I know your memory is slipping here and there, but try your best to remember, okay? Tonight we are going to be reading continuation of Dracula. Remember Dracula? Of course you do. If you have not seen the other parts, go see them first. If you don't care about the story, I don't care either. Watch it from here. This is part 7, I believe. Chapter 14 of Dracula. We are going into the fall now. Halloween. Autumn. The leaves are falling. And we are falling asleep as well. We have a lot of things in common with leaves. So, make yourself comfortable. Very comfortable. And let us dive into it. Chapter 14. Mina fears the night. While Mina stayed behind and suddenly went to sleep, the men left the asylum and crept next door to Carfax through the dark. Each carried a crucifix, some garlic, and a piece of sacred wafer. Of course they bring garlic in case they get hungry and they want to cook a nice meal. They had skeleton keys also, which can sometimes, if jiggled properly, open many different doors. Like a good handshake. The bolt to the front door of Carfax eventually opened. With a push, its rusty hinges creaked and the door slowly gave way. Peering inside, the men could see that the whole place was thick with dust and masses of spider webs. They crossed themselves as they walked over the threshold. You saw maps of this place when you were arranging the purchase, Van Helsing whispered to Jonathan. Lead the way to the chapel. Jonathan quickly found the boxes filled with earth that they were looking for. But counting them, the men saw that there was only 29, not 50. Just when something started moving on the floor beneath their feet. Was it the Count crawling? Other vampires? No. It was rats. Don't worry, hundreds of them. Worry. The place was alive with rats. Lord Godalming reacted calmly, taking a silver whistle from his pocket. He blew it. It was answered from behind Dr. Seward's house by the yelping of dogs. After a minute, 3 feisty terriers came rushing through the open door of the house and into the chapel. They charged and barked wildly, and all of the rats scurried away. The men searched the rest of the house, but found nothing. The Count was not there. At least we were able to count the boxes, Van Helsing said as they made their exit. We also gained a sense of the house. Habibi, what are you, a realtor? The men agreed It was best that Mina had remained behind. They also agreed that they would not share the frightening details of their job with her. What frightening? We saw rats. This is it. This was hard for Jonathan, because he and she had always been partners, but he would do anything to protect her. And so he went along with the plan. Jonathan is a performative male. When they returned to the asylum, Jonathan checked on Mina. He found her looking paler than usual, but otherwise she seemed well and was sleeping softly. The next day, Mina awoke feeling strangely sad and low-spirited. I have a strange guess as to why. It must have been her horrible dream, she thought, shivering as she remembered it. There had been mist, a heavy smoke pouring in through the cracks of the door. The air had seemed to grow heavy and dank and cold. And then there were red eyes and a dark figure bending over her. Surely, she thought, this was just guilt over the part she had played in Lucy's death by bringing her to Whitby. The next few nights, however, she experienced the same thing and felt even worse when she awoke. She was growing paler and more tired by the day. She asked Dr. Seward for some medicine to help her sleep. Dr. Seward prescribed something, and the next night Mina took it. But as it began to take effect, a strange fear overtook her. Suddenly, she wondered if she might have made a mistake in taking the medicine that would not allow her to wake up if she needed to. Suddenly, she suspected that she might be safer if she was awake. But it was too late, for sleep had come. Hopefully the same would happen with you. Chapter 15. Renfield speaks. Jonathan was hot on the trail of the missing boxes of earth. He questioned various people, starting at the company the Count had hired to ship and deliver the boxes. He learned the destinations of some of the boxes in many different areas of London. Later, Jonathan learned that several boxes had been taken to a house in Piccadilly. By pretending to be the sheriff, he was able to get the exact address. Upon going there, he knew he had reached the right place, for it looked like it had been a long time since anyone had lived in this house. A for sale sign listing Mitchell, Sons and Candy as agents had only recently been taken down and was propped up against the house. Jonathan went to the agent office. When asked who had purchased the house, however, all they would say is, "The house has been sold." When pressed, one agent said, "The affairs of our clients are absolutely confidential." Okay. Your clients are lucky to have such serious and loyal men at their service, he said. My boss, Lord Godalming, will be disappointed, but he will simply have to accept this news. Lord Godalming, the agent asked. Jonathan could almost see the agent's mind working as he weighed the name of such a noble and wealthy man. The agent shrugged sheepishly. Well, perhaps an exception can be made. Just this one time. The house was purchased by a foreign nobleman, a Count de Ville. He paid in cash. Beyond that, we know nothing. How are we going to get into the house? The man asked when Jonathan returned with details of the house in Piccadilly. They suspected they would find everything they were looking for there. All of the Count's papers and deeds and keys. We can break in, just as we did at Carfax, Van Helsing said. I don't think so, Morris pointed out. There, we had the night and a wall to protect us. It will be a different thing to break into a house in broad daylight and in such a central location, on a sidewalk. Van Helsing thought for a moment before asking. If we were the owners of that house and we couldn't get in, what would we do? He's a smart man. We would call the locksmith, Jonathan said. He's not a smart man. And stand there with him while he picked the lock. It's brilliant, really. The police would walk right by, but if they saw an official locksmith truck in uniform, they would not think to interfere. You know what? That is smart. The men agreed it was a perfect plan. Meanwhile, Renfield seemed to be acting stranger than usual. Would you like some flies? Dr. Seward asked him, trying to analyze him. Or spiders? Spiders? Renfield scoffed. There is nothing in them to eat or drink. Drink? Dr. Seward repeated, alarmed. Renfield looked guilty, as if he had accidentally revealed something. He did not want to talk anymore. Dr. Seward gave up, but found it interesting how the patient had become so nervous at the mention of drinking. Then, Dr. Seward realized it. Renfield had moved past just wanting to feast on animals. It was a human life and blood that Renfield was looking for. Dr. Seward could only conclude that the Count had gotten to Renfield and that some new plan of terror was afoot. Later that night, the doctor's worst fears were confirmed. An attendant came to tell him that something had happened to Renfield. Dr. Seward rushed to Renfield's room, only to find him lying on the floor, unconscious and horribly injured, bleeding from blows to the body, head, and face. Go get Professor Van Helsing, Dr. Seward told the attendant. Arthur, Quincy Morris, and Lord Godalming came as well. Van Helsing had the patient quickly whisked into surgery where he performed an operation to relieve the pressure on Renfield's brain. Later, the patient opened his eyes. Am I dying, doctor? He asked Van Helsing. You may be. So now is the time to tell us everything. He promised me things, Renfield said. He made me do things. The Count. Go on, Van Helsing said. But he was a liar. And so tonight, when he came again for Miss Mina, at this, every man in the room jumped with a start and came closer. I fought him, Renfield continued. He did this to me. He broke me. The effort of speaking then became too much for him, and the men left him alone. To think, Van Helsing said, We thought we were protecting Mina by keeping her out of our plans, yet while we were away, not protecting her, she suffered. The men ran to Mina's room but found it locked. They had a bad feeling about this and broke the door down and burst in. What they saw inside made the hair rise like bristles on the back of their necks. On the bed lay Jonathan Harker, breathing heavily and looking dazed. Kneeling over him was the white-clad figure of his wife, Mina, and by Mina's side there stood a tall, thin man wearing black. The Count. With his left hand, the Count held Mina's hands. With his right, he pushed down on the back of her neck and forced her face down onto his chest. He was forcing her to drink his blood. As the man entered, the Count spun around, his nostrils flaring like an animal's and a hellish blazing look in his eyes. Throwing Mina to the side, he sprang towards the men to attack, but the professor was ready and raised a hand containing a wafer. The Count cowered, and all four men advanced, holding their wafers and crucifixes before them. Just then, however, the moon hid briefly behind a cloud. In the darkness, the Count disappeared like a puff of smoke, leaving only a faint vapor trail behind him. Arthur and Lord Godalming ran out the door, trying to follow. Mina began to cry. A horrible, endless wail. Van Helsing stepped forward and covered her gently with a blanket. Her neck was bleeding. She had given blood as well as taken it. Jonathan stirred then, waking up and looking around confused. "What are you all doing here? What happened?" He looked at his wife, at the blood on her neck and her mouth. "What does that blood mean?" he asked. Suddenly, the realization came to him. "Oh, no, no, no," he cried. "God help us. Not that. Not my sweet Mina." At this, Mina only wailed harder. Jonathan hugged Mina. The blood from her neck stained his shirt, and she pulled away. "Do not hold me," she sobbed. "I am unclean. I cannot touch or kiss you anymore. Oh, to think that the person who loves you most should now be your worst enemy, the one you must fear most." Arthur and Lord Godalming returned. They had seen no trace of the Count. While outside, however, they had seen a large bat rise from Renfield's window and upon running up to the patient's room, had found Renfield dead. "Was the bat headed toward Carfax?" Van Helsing asked. "No," Morris answered. "All right," Van Helsing said. "Well, the dawn is close, so he will not be back tonight. We will continue our chase for him tomorrow. But for tonight," he turned back to Mina, "if you think you can bear it, you must tell us everything you remember." "I took the sleeping medicine you gave me," Mina said. "I fell asleep. And the next thing I remember, there was a white mist in the room, and I felt the same terror I had felt before and sensed some kind of presence. Jonathan was asleep next to me, and I tried to wake him, but I couldn't. I looked around terrified. Then, out of the mist, there stepped a tall, thin man, all in black. I knew him at once from the description all of you had given, And from Jonathan's journal, the pale face, the long nose, the red parted lips with the sharp teeth showing. And here she shuddered. Those awful red eyes. I was about to scream, but he told me he would kill Jonathan if I did. He said he would drink my blood, and that it was not the first time he had done so. I felt my strength fading. There was nothing I could do. And then he spoke of all of you. He mocked you for trying to defeat him. He, who had lived for hundreds of years before you were born. He said he would punish me for helping you. My punishment, he said, would be that I would forever come for his call. When his brain said come, I would be forced to cross land or sea to do his bidding. To ensure his plan, he opened the vein in his chest and forced me to drink his blood. I had no choice. I could not breathe. My God, what have I done? From then on, the men decided Mina should always know the details of their plans. Only Van Helsing had some reservations. Aren't you afraid? He asked Mina. Not for yourself, but for others, given what has happened. No, she said. If I sense even slightly that I may harm someone, I will die. You would kill yourself? I would, if there was no friend who loved me enough to do it for me. Absolutely not, Van Helsing said forcefully. You must not die, by any hand, but at least of all, your own. Now that you have sipped from his veins, if you die before the Count, you will not truly die. No, he must die before you, and he will. You will live a long and happy life with your husband. You must struggle and strive at all times to live. Do you understand? I do. Good. We have the whole day to hunt him down, to find more boxes of earth, and to sterilize them. Until the sun sets, the Count will stay in whatever form he is now. He is locked within his own limitations. Let's get to work. We are nearing the end of the story. I wonder what will happen. Will they catch the Count? Or will the Count defeat them at their game? At his game, rather. Think about that tonight. But think about falling asleep more. I will see you in the next episode. Have a good night.